Good evening.
Good
Good,
evening. Good
good
evening, Nick.
evening.
How you doing?
I'm very well, Lolly. Thank you. How are you doing?
Not so bad. Not so bad.
I'm so excited because not because it's the for two reasons actually.
Mm.
Because it's the penultimate day of the week for
Yeah.
me work wise. So, it's my second favorite day of the week next to Friday. And also because it's Thursday and I get to spend it in your company, Lolly.
Oh, sweet talker, you.
Yeah, so looking forward to today's show, man. It's going to be lovely. We've got a
I
couple of
know.
returning guests as well, haven't we?
We've tonight. Good evening goes out to all our viewers that have joined us this evening, whether those on the Facebook and those on what's happened there,
YouTube.
Facebook and those on YouTube,
Hmm.
and those who are watching us back also. Today we have got a bit of a cracking show. We're going to be discussing edges, hairlines, hat fishing, yeah, hat fishing, and alopecia. So we're talking all about hair loss and different aspects of it. So we'll have a bit of humor and some of the
Hmm.
serious side. So we've got, like you said, our returning guests, some from the barber
Yes.
world, male and female. We've got some others who deal in hair extension. So
Hmm.
we got a good mix today.
Yes, indeed. And also, I'm very interested to know because, before we actually came up with the content for the show, I have never heard of hat fishing. You're the first person I
Shall I
actually heard refer to hat fishing.
shall I explain it to you?
Yes, please
So
do.
for those at home who are not sure what hat fishing mean, hat fishing is actually wearing a hat to trick people into thinking you're more attractive, or often used to cover up
Oh,
baldness or unfortunate hair situation.
okay. So
So
like a receding hairline or something like that,
yep,
yeah?
yep. And you have a nice cap put on
Oh,
top of your nose. None with the wise. Oh no, here we go. New dating
all
phenomenon:
right.
hat fishing surging online with 1 in 10 Brits victims.
Wow.
See that?
Okay. Yes.
So
See?
if somebody's around you never takes off their hat,
Mm-hmm.
hmm,
This could be why.
could be.
Could be why. Actually, by the way, Lolly, your edges are looking also,
Well, I had to
also
lay them today. I
fantastic.
had to lay them today a little bit,
Oh, yeah.
just purposely.
Are we going to talk about laying as well, right? Laying of the
Yeah, we're going to talk about
edges.
that whole lot today. We're going to
Fantastic.
talk about the
Fantastic.
whole lot.
So
So,
who
can I
have we
ask
got
you a
on?
question? Before we
Yes,
get to that, can I ask you a question?
indeed, indeed.
Because your hairline looks very sharp.
Yes.
How do I put this? Have you noticed any movement over the years?
No, because
Yeah.
I am fortunate. If I go by hereditary, you know, barometers, then my dad has got a full head of hair. He's 83, 84 actually, sorry, and he's got a full head of hair. So I'm
Well,
hoping that that is kind of like running in my gene pool, and I will still have a full head of hair come my 80s, Lolly.
that's fantastic. Great stuff. So there's no changing of the hairline or
No, 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 no. And all my mum's got a full head of hair. My dad has as well, and they're both in their 80s.
there you go. See, you got it
So
good.
fingers crossed, you know. Yeah.
All right.
Who's our first guest up, Lolly? Let's get this show on the road because I'm
Yeah, and
excited to.
seeing as you mentioned the hat fishing first, I think it's only right. Not that he is hat fishing, because we've never seen him with a hat.
Is it a man thing then, Lolly? Is that a man thing mostly then hat fishing?
Mainly.
Ah,
But then in saying that, you
yeah.
can get hats with extensions sewn in. If you take off the hat extension,
Really?
yeah,
No way.
yeah, you can.
Really? Oh my
So
days. Oh dear.
you
So
know,
don't. I better be careful about asking people to take off their hats then in future.
just don't go through the airport where you have to take it off.
Yeah.
Right, let's bring on our first guest,
Hmm.
Ratty, the barber, a returning guest. It's always a pleasure to have Ratty with us. Ratty, are you there?
Hi guys. Yes,
Good
I'm here.
Hi.
evening,
Thanks for having
sir.
me
Good
again.
evening, Mr. Ratty. How are you doing, sir?
I'm all right. Glad to be here again. Feeling the
Yeah.
Yes,
excitement. Very
yes.
interesting topics to be discussed.
Indeed, indeed. And for those of you who don't know, Ratty is a London-based mobile barber offering a premium service to professional people, and also has a extensive clientele list of actors and footballers and stars and
That's what it
famous
is.
people. So he's well represented in that line of work, and we are glad to have him on the show today for the second time. So, Mr. Ratti,
Yes.
so there you go, there you go. Yeah, so tell us a little bit. You obviously in your line of work, you would have seen a lot of problems with receding hairlines and things like that. Is it ever a good if you have a receding hairline? Is it ever a good idea to try and shape that, or should you just leave it alone?
It depends on how extreme it is. I have client with receding hairline where it's still enough where you can fade the bit that is thick to make it look smooth and even, and then give a proper line. And then there's just some that you need to accept and shave it off. And some guys do look really good with their bald head, and
Mhm.
you being a professional need to say to them that this would fit best, and I think it's time now. You're not just gonna say, okay, just shave it off and change your image, but you help them to understand why it would be best to either shave it off or keep it for a bit longer.
You
Do
see,
you find
because
do you
I
find
mean,
it's a problem? Oh, sorry, Nick.
no, you go ahead, Lolly, go ahead.
Do you find that you get a lot of people just still trying to hold on when it's clearly past that point? Do you have to sort of like coax people into going bald, or do you find that they just make their decision?
In most cases, you do have to encourage them because they, they desperately hold on to that bit of hair. But um, I guess it's a part of the culture where they are taught that hair is beauty,
Hmm.
and it does ties in with insecurities to some levels. So
Hmm.
you have to really be able to say, okay, this will suit you, this will be good, but at the same time, saying it in a way where you're not offended, you know, or feel discriminated against. Because so as some barbers, they would just say, okay, fine, yo, it's time for this to go because it's easy job. But you can work on a lot of them, and as I said, I have clients who have receding hairline, and you really have to be on top of your fade game to do a hairline with somebody who has receding hair or even alopecia to make it look quite symmetric. So unless it's growing back, someone wouldn't be able to tell that they actually suffer receding hairline or ear loss.
Do you find, Rati, that as Lolly was just saying, do you find that in this kind of industry there are things that men do that contribute to hair loss? Do you find that there's habits that men do that contribute to hair loss?
Yes, there definitely is. One is the wearing of hat, not in the hat fishing way, but
Mm.
wearing hat constantly actually cause ear loss, and having regular shape ups, having your earline done too often and having it being pushed back too often, that affects your cuticles. So you find that after a time they stop growing. Because I've had clients
Really?
who say after getting a line up and the barber push the earline back too far, they actually didn't get their ear growing back. So that's one aspect of it. And using too much products or even brushing your hair too much can cause, you know, ear loss and receding earline just as well, especially for those guys who do the waving.
That's interesting because I know that the waving, as you just mentioned, is very, very popular now, and it's
Yeah.
quite aggressive how they brush their hair, and it's they brush their hair quite aggressively with like sometimes I've seen a sponge, or sometimes I've seen like a coarse brush, and that can't be very good for the scalp, surely.
No, absolutely not. And most people who do the waving, they use a lot of product which obviously block the pores, and that causes difficulty for the ear to grow through. So it does the scalp doesn't breathe as properly. So there's not gonna be any chance for growth. It's just like you walking on a through a field, and you walk constantly on the same part. Those grass there they die down. So it's like the same Same for the hair, if it doesn't get the opportunity to be free, then it definitely won't grow.
Yeah. Have you found as well that men are coming to you for advice on things like hair transplants or microblading? Not microblading is another one that's quite taken off recently. Have you been approached by any of your clients to about these kind of new procedures?
I've done client who has done the ear transplant, and it looks
Okay.
very different and weird. Some people, they do talk about getting it, and I've
Mm-hmm.
had a few companies reach out to me and say I should recommend people to get this service, and I would get a percentage. But I'm not for that. I
Oh.
mean, it's a
Uh,
part of life. You get old, you lose your ear. Your body changes
yes.
constantly. So for me, I like to preach about accepting yourself and being confident. So
Mm.
More on the
maybe I lose
natural
some
side.
business, but I'm not I'm not going to promote that as much as someone would probably want me to.
But
So,
we
Ratty,
touched
can
on.
you?
Sorry.
Oh, sorry, Ratty.
Go
So,
on,
can
Lolly.
you talk us through? There's this powder and this it's almost like a paste that people are using, especially in the barbers, where it just makes the hairline look a lot thicker. I can kind of compare it to Jermaine Jackson had that kind of very strong, almost painted hairline. Tell
Yeah.
us what that's about. That sort of dust.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what it is, dust or, some form of paint. I've never used it on my clients, and I don't intend to use it because,
Mm-hmm.
for me, I see that as something that you would use for, movie sets or a music video. So to use that constantly to represent your work is, for me, is the one very, very, very deceptive,
Mm-hmm.
because it wash out very easily. And I mean, I've done a client that said they went to a barber and had it done, and the barber said they shouldn't have a shower, you know,
Mm-hmm.
until they went to the event. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
what's that? So it's definitely bad for your health in my views, because again, you're constantly loading your scalp with something that you don't really fully understand, and too much of nothing, too much of one thing is good for nothing. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure on the ingredients of it. As I said, I've never used it before, but I wouldn't recommend it.
Okay.
And as well, I was thinking, Ratty, that when it comes to like shaving and cutting your hair, I mean, I used to do my hair every week. Is that a bad thing then to cut your hair every week? I don't do it now. I do it fortnightly if I can. But is that a bad thing to cut your hair every week?
I wouldn't say that's a bad thing, because it depends on your hair growth. If your hair grows really fast and your job
Hmm.
requires you to look a certain way, then that's acceptable. But if you find that your scalp is being irritated, you start scratching more than regular, and you start seeing bumps and spots, then you definitely need to give yourself a break if that starts happening. But other than that, it's never an issue. I have clients that get their hair cut every week and they don't really complain about anything. So I don't see.
Okay, and what about like when sometimes you do the fading, right, and you see some people get irritated, so they get like bumps in their scalp, and that kind of causes scar tissue as well.
Yes.
And then that kind of like makes the hair not grow back in those places. I've seen that quite a lot going to the barbers.
Yes, that's something that happens very, very frequently. As you
Hmm.
say, getting their hair done often, but that's not the real key. The real key is to it is that barbers are
Hide.
using tools that are not
Yeah. Clean. Yeah.
cleaned, and
Oh, okay.
sorry, not just that. When the clippers are dull, they do pull the hair, so it's like you're doing a waxing but not actually doing it properly. So you're disrupting the ear follicles but not actually pulling it out, which cause ingrown hair, and the disruption in the skin, which would cause all the disorders that you see.
Wow, wow. Okay,
Food for
that's
thought there.
very interesting. Very interesting. As I said, for me, I used to cut my hair every week, but I've refrained from that now, just fortnightly, and I find it's much better for myself. But yeah. So that's been a great insight, Rati. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah, man, you're
Um,
welcome.
yes. So hang about because we're going to take some questions from our our listening audience, and hope to come back with some tips and things. Have you ever heard of hat fishing, Ratty? By the
No,
way,
not until just now. Yeah,
yeah, that's
so
what I said. Me. It was new to me too. Lolly was the first person I've ever heard come up with that, but
yeah,
now I have.
yeah. So I'll watch to hear what they have to say about that one because I'm very
Indeed,
interested in that.
indeed. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Ray.
Ratty.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Oh, that was
So
insightful. That was a bit of an eye opener. Good start, wasn't it?
very much so, very much so. Because as I said, Lolly, I often see that, the kind of like bumps in the back of the head when people are
I
getting their hair cut, and I always wondered what caused that.
Mm.
And I was too polite to ask.
Okay, shall we bring on our next guest?
Yes, our next guest is the CEO from the House of Baby D. She offers a head-to-toe glam service, including seamstressing, styling, makeup, hair, the whole shebang. And she goes by the name of Baby D. Baby D, are you in the house?
Yes, I'm in the house.
How you
Hi.
doing?
Hello.
How are you? Looking very vibrant with the pink hair. Love it.
Thank you, Lily, as always.
That's not part of your hat fishing process,
It's not a
is
hat.
it?
I'm blessed, so I'm all right with that. I'm blessed.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Go ahead. Sorry, Lolly.
Right. So before we even move on to another the questions, Dika, do you want to give our audience, because you are a returning guest, but for those who have just joined us, have never met you before,
Yeah.
do you want to give them a quick little background as to who you are and what the House of BBD is about?
Hi, I'm Baby D. Obviously, as you can see, I'm a CEO of the House of Baby D. We offer so much services. So we offer whether it's makeup, hair, styling, tailoring, or anything. You want anything made? We offer every service, and this is a passion of mine. I've been doing it since I was young. I studied it as well, so I'm certified, like I always say, all the time. And yeah, so and we do give like consultation as well, just in case you want to know about something, you want to learn about something, or you want us to train you. We do offer that service as well.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Great stuff. So look out for House of BBD. Now, before we go any further, have you heard about hat fishing? Have you been hat fished before?
Loads of times on dates.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Don't
That's
ever
shocking.
go out on a date with a man with a hat. Make sure he takes off his hat when you meet a man.
Spoken from experience.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, no. So, Baby D, in terms of like, is that a problem for you if like a man has a hat on and he takes it off and he's receding, his hairline is receded? Do you would that change your perception of him if you?
No, really, I just feel like come as you are, because if I like you, I'm gonna see your head, right?
Yeah.
So come as you are. Just we get to a certain age where some of us lose hair, some of us have hair. So just like rock it. Just learn to love yourself however you look.
Mm-hmm.
When you're doing all of that, wearing the hats, having that, some guys actually have fake hair underneath their hat. Like you said, you've got the hat with the fake hair.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
so like soon when I get to know you, you're going to have to take that off. So how long are you going to be hiding that head of yours? Let me get used to that headline, like that head and the hairline. Let me get used to that. I just feel like everyone needs to love, because at the end of the day, we was young ones, right? And we have to grow up and we're going to lose some hair, we're going to change the way we look. So I just feel like everyone needs to get used to how they look.
It's a matter of confidence, isn't it? It's down to confidence, and I suppose if you're meeting someone or if you're dating someone for the first time as a maybe as a gentleman or even as a lady, you want to present the best version of yourself. You want to make the best impression. So for us men, it may be just to kind of like give the impression that we are You know, we've got full head of hair,
Well,
which a lot of people, rightly or wrongly, a lot of people associate hair with virility,
yeah,
wrongly
It's true.
so.
yeah,
But you know, it is something that men do think about, and it's something that is, you know, in certain environments is spoken about. So
I
you know,
think,
I do agree with you. You've got to wear your natural as a man, and you know, accept that you are who you are.
but it's harder with men, right? With women, we can create our own hairline. You can
Yeah.
buy a wig, you can buy a weave, you can stick on your head. I get that it's really hard because men really can't do anything about their hair, can they?
No.
So I understand, like with me, I understand that everyone's gonna go through that. And I know that your face, it's like a confident thing, like you said. I used to have hair, I used to have waves. Now I ain't got no more hairline. So all of that, it's like a woman as well. You know, when we put on weight and we lose weight and things, it's
yeah,
all the same, really. So
Yeah.
I think if you're gonna like, if you're gonna lose hair, just lose it gracefully. Just let it go. What are you holding on to? Let it go.
I
Seriously.
think as well because like hair loss, um, itself, it can be down to a number of things. You know, we've got genetic factors, as Nick was saying
Yes.
earlier, about he's been blessed because his family lineage has got full head of hair. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Now you've got stress and trauma can be another reason why people are
Yes.
losing their hair. We got nutrition and diet. That's another thing, and sometimes we forget what we're putting in our bodies affecting what's on the outside. Health or medication. I know a lot of people that have, and I came across when I was in here, a lot of people with certain blood pressure tablets did always lose that same crown area. And I'm no doctor, but it got to, I was so often that when I used to see it, I was like, are you on blood pressure tablets? It's like, oh, how did you know? You know, because it sort of always does the same thing. You've got environmental factors. There's so many different reasons why people can lose their hair. But I think because it is the, you know, our crown and beauty, we kind of hold on. I mean, what you were saying earlier about men embracing, you know, their hair and losing it, we could flip it on its head and say, well, why do we wear wigs with the
Yeah.
edges and lay our
What?
lay our edges? We could do exactly the same thing. So where do we find that balance?
I think the water as well. Do you know, like when you go back home and you're washing your hair, it's different compared to the water here. There's just
Hmm.
too much chemical in the water that we
Yeah.
use to wash
Hmm.
our hair, and it thins it. Especially with men, it proper thins their hair. You know,
Hmm.
with women, it's different because we've always got the braids and things like that. So men are always running when they're having showers, always running water through their hair. So it actually it's just the chemical that runs through the water. But when you're back home, everything is very natural, so your hair grows better, is more healthier compared to here. I'm not trying to say like back home people are not bold, but here, you know, you're 20 something and you're losing hair already. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's faster than back home. Do you understand? Like, so it's all the
That is
chemicals as
absolutely
well.
right.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the chemical that they put in the water that you have a bath. That's a certain people, they rather use like, you know, filtered water on their hair
Hmm.
because of the chemical in the
Yeah.
water that we use. Yeah.
Yeah. So
It's very harsh, the water, isn't it? Here,
Mhm.
Mhm.
it's very harsh, and
Yeah.
as opposed to back home, it's very soft. The water's very soft,
Mhm.
and there's a
And
big difference
pure
in
from the
yeah,
mountains and from all these. It's all natural,
Mhm.
yeah,
not as
yeah.
much pollution as it is here.
So do you have clients that come to you with alopecia or like hair loss problems? Like, what do you recommend them to do?
Well, a lot of them will come for like wigs and weaves. Like you have to try to find a way to cover it, especially with alopecia is always down here in the middle.
Mhm.
So you have to find a way where you can like make them feel better about themselves. So I
Mhm.
would like supply them wigs, weave, you
Mhm.
know, something that they can have on or stick onto their hair.
Mhm.
What else can you do about alopecia? Seriously, like there's nothing you can do. All you can do is just like give her a wig that she can take off and put on, or you can do like a bonding, like a you know when you do the wig that just sticks onto the head.
Mhm.
That's the only way because there's really nothing, and that's the lucky thing about women because we can do all of that. We can actually have something that's stuck on our head, go to bed, wake up, and you know we have that confidence. But when it comes to a man, but you know what? There's a new wig thing. You know the new thing. Is it like a weave that you stick on men? You put glue
Yeah.
on it. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can now.
Yeah, I've
Now
seen it.
it's all the same. Yeah, but with women, it's more easier, and that's why it's so hard for a man to have confidence because we get away with so much and they can't. You know what I mean? It's just it's hard, but what can we do? All we do is just supply the wigs, the weaves, the stick on, the bonding glue, the whole lot. There's
Yeah.
nothing else we
Well,
can do there.
there's loads for us to talk about and get into that. I tell you,
Mhm.
Do
loads
you
for us.
do you find though, baby D, that when you, a client comes to you, for instance, and she is suffering from hair loss, do you find that the preferred method to cover that up is a weave or a wig?
Well, if they've got hair loss, where are you gonna stick the weave? Like, so you have to come up with something. So whether you do the bonding where you do the wig cap on the head, or you do the wig because you can't stick nothing up because you might even make that condition worse if you try to
Right.
do anything, and you might get blamed for making it worse, or you
Mm.
might do something that might cause it to have, to go. I don't know. Anything could happen.
Yeah.
So you have to find an alternative before you even start sticking this on. You have to speak to them, consult them, and make them feel like better about themselves before, and then give them options. And the same time, when you give them option, you have to tell them, listen, you can't have that stuck onto your head because this and that, it might happen to you afterwards. Because some people get different reaction from certain things. So that's why with me, I do prefer the weave. I mean the wig. Because with the wig, she can remove it. It doesn't have to be stuck on her head. Because it might make the condition even worse, really, by sticking
So
something on the head.
So if I use your analogy, then
Yeah.
then a woman should really turn up to the first date without that wig on there as well, isn't it? As you're
No,
showing
it's a
that.
different, different. No, you men is different. Women, we have to have a weave. Come on, we have to have a weave. I'm not gonna come up there meeting with you and being all bold unless certain people that can rock that boldness. They've got that nice face, that nice
Uh-huh.
cute little face, so they can wear that boldness. But for me, it's not gonna happen. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All my clients, I tell them wear the weave, long, short, rock the weave is up to you. But I
So
wouldn't.
so you, it's that age old double standard, isn't it? Us men,
That's
we
right.
have to
No,
we
I
have
don't
to
think
kind of.
so. But I feel like, with the new weave for men, I don't mind if my man wears that. I really
Yeah.
don't mind.
You
If he
tell me
wears
that
the
if
new,
you met a man, you're telling me, okay, you're telling me then, baby D, if you met a man, right, and you saw that he had a nice short afro with like waves going on and
yeah,
stuff, and you thought, oh, he looks nice or whatever, then
he
few
takes it
months
off.
down the line, he takes it off and he's got like, maybe a comb over or something going on
Okay,
underneath, a
not a
few
comb
strands.
over, but the new one where they're sticking like afro hair and they cut into waves.
Yeah.
I don't mind. You know
Yeah.
that. I really
Yeah.
don't mind. I
Yeah.
just think, just tell me, be like open with me and give me a chance to accept it or not.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Just give me that
Okay.
chance and that
Yeah.
opportunity.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
baby D, we're gonna have so much fun on the questions and
That's
answers.
very enlightening. Thank you.
Yeah.
So much. So don't go too far. Thank you very much for joining us, and we will have you back up shortly.
Yes,
Wow,
indeed. Ah,
that was
see,
that
see,
was another
Lolly.
that was another opener. Didn't expect that one.
So it's the age of the comb over. Remember, remember the few strands like it's luckily for most of the black culture, you don't have that kind of movie here, so you don't really have the ones that you could brush over. But if you're of like a European or English background,
Yeah.
you have the hair receded, and they try to fold it over to make it look like a forehead.
Oh my gosh.
Oh dear.
All right. So
What can
shall
you
we
do?
have a couple of the questions? We said Sonia. Good evening, Sonia, and thank you for joining
Indeed.
us. She says, better to have your own teeth than no hair. Now we're going somewhere else.
Better to have your own teeth than no hair.
That's right.
There'll come a time that you may have no teeth and no hair.
No, but you
How
can get
about that?
teeth now. You can get teeth.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's
You can
true.
get teeth now.
This is from Deborah. She said, "Yes, Lolly, I agree with you. I think that's when you was talking about the point before. And she also went to say, I have never done a wig or weave or straighten or wet look my hair. Always been natural. I think, Deborah, you're very fortunate in that case because, you know, I don't know. Sorry, I don't know what sort of age group you are, Deborah, but I find that a lot of women from my kind of age group is coming from the heavily processed era where they used to use a lot of the
Don't say
what's
the
the thing,
brands.
Lolly?
Don't say the brands.
Not the
Yeah.
brands. I'm trying to stay away from the brand. The curly, the those curly perm things and whatever, and also the hot combs and things like that, where it was heavily processed, damaging the hair. That who knew? We know now. We're better educated now, but a lot of women of our kind of era came through that, so have damaged hair. So I've had to maybe go weave or wigs just to kind of like keep the look that they want to
Yeah.
to keep, I
I
suppose.
don't know. I think it's more of a preference personally because you
Yeah.
can rock all different kind of things. Yeah, I think it's just down to the individual and how they feel. Like some people, like years ago we were eating differently.
Mm,
Even our cultural meals. That
yeah.
some of us are running from that now. The traditional Sunday dinner that we see, the rice and peas, the meat, the this, the that. We're trying to run from that because we're saying, the heavy starch, the salt, our blood pressure, how it's affected us. So
Yeah.
it's not always about what you're used to or what you always done. It's where your mind is, I think, and how you handle yourself.
And I think it's a great point that you made actually about the diet, because your diet does actually
Yeah.
determine everything about your bodily health, your hair, your nails, your bones, your
Hmm.
skin, everything. So
Yeah.
that's a great point. Who we got next
We've
on
got
the?
the lovely She Barber, a female barber. She
Oh
Barber, are you
yes.
there, my darling?
I'm here.
Yay! How are you? Look
Good
at that
evening,
I'm
She
all right.
Barber.
Hi,
smile.
guys.
How are
How
you?
are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good.
Looking
Thank you for
very
joining us
pristine.
this
Looking
evening.
very pristine there.
Yes,
Thank
yes,
you.
very,
I
very.
try.
She's got a nice glow, isn't it?
It's what you would expect from a she barber, right? So, first of all, I'd like to
So,
ask she
Nick,
barber.
your mic
Yeah.
Sorry,
just went a bit funny there for a sec. Nick,
my mic.
That me?
yeah, we just had a little interference there for a sec.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, first of all, she barber, tell the listening audience a bit about yourself and who you are, what you do.
Okay, so I started off as hairdressing, and the last 2 years I've been barbering. It was something that I kind of dabbled with over the years, but I done a course and I started doing barbering, and then through the lockdown I was offering like lockdown trims for everyone. So I've kind of off the back of that I've started a business, and now I've become a female barber.
Wow. So do you still do female hair, or do you
I
just mainly?
do. So I have clients. I'll go to like a family house. I'm actually mobile, so I'll go to a family house. I may do the dad, the mum, the children. I do granddads, grandmas. I do every age group: men, women,
Wow.
children, babies, everything.
Okay. That's very good. This must be the new way of doing things now, because all three of our guests that we've had on so far
Yeah.
are all offer a mobile service,
Yep.
Do you know what? It's the
which is
best way. You don't have an overhead cost. You could be
yeah.
more flexible with time. Like I'm a mother as well, and I
Hmm.
do quite a few other things. So it's good to be mobile because I can work around my schedule rather than being stuck to one place at one time for the whole
Absolutely,
day.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
So
And in terms of appointments and that, do you have like a page where they book an appointment and you
No, so I
or
just work off my own appointment system. So I'll just schedule
okay,
people in where I can.
yeah,
Also my area, I work pretty much around London. So I live in Shoreditch, but I travel to
okay,
Northwest London. I travel out. So it just literally depends on who needs their hair done and where they book me, and then I go there.
okay.
wonderful,
So She Barber,
wonderful.
let me ask you the question. As a
Like, hit
female
me with
barber,
it. Yeah.
as a female barber, do you find it was hard? Because let's be honest, you're a very lovely looking young lady. Did you
Thank
find
you.
transitioning to barbering that you had to sort of like you have to keep a certain type of distance between your clients?
Of
Your male.
course, I've got some knockers on me, so I've got to stay far away. But no, I mean, when I say distance, I think with men, because I'm in a relationship and I'm very public about my relationship, I don't get that kind of, men don't really try and approach me like that. And for me, I don't know, it's different being a female barber because there's the stigma of women can't cut hair. So I get a lot of that. Like if I give someone my card and I'm like, yeah, I do hair, they're like, you're a barber. And I'm like, yeah, I have to show them my work and showcase what I can do.
Yeah. And do you find that keeps coming up all the time? Like, what have you done? And you have to keep proving yourself.
Yeah, but do you know what? It's not such a bad thing. As long as I can prove what I can do, it doesn't really bother me, to be fair. It's like, would you go and I wouldn't go to a hairdresser if I can't see what they can do or what they're capable of doing. So it's fair.
Okay.
Yeah, because, you know, I know in the barbering world, and I've spoken to Ratty about this before, that a lot of work comes from recommendation. You know, so somebody would say, oh, I've got a good barber.
Yeah.
So, and
a lot of my clientele come from word of mouth and just people forwarding me on. I've had a lot of support over the last 2 years. It's been really good.
And also with the advent of women now embracing short haircuts, pixie haircuts and whatever, and a little fade, you know, I suppose there's a lot of work in terms of that as well, because not only men want their fades and that, do they?
Yeah. Do you know what it is? A lot of women are trying to do the natural thing now, but not everyone can kind of pull it off. Like I've wanted to do locks for years, and I like the look, but I'm still just holding on to my weave. I can't let go yet. I'm just not ready. I'm not ready. In terms of the short hair, a lot of women are doing it. Unfortunately for us, having afro hair, I don't know about everyone else, but I've got grade 4C hair, so I got the thickest texture. So, you know, having to style your hair and stuff, it makes it difficult. Sometimes a weave is just easier for me. I feel like short haircuts are actually harder to maintain than having just a weave that I can truck back in one. Or it's tricky with hair. It's a tricky one with women in hair, I'm not gonna lie, especially if you've got afro hair. Once you cut it, it becomes, you've got to maintain it a bit more than you do with a weave.
Yeah. And do you have like ladies that come to you like with problems with edges and, you know, alopecia? Have you experienced that? And how do you assist the client with?
It's a tricky one because your edges are what everyone sees first. Like even me, I got a lot of edge. My edges actually match my eyebrows. They join with my eyebrows. So I've always had that.
By the way, looking good.
Thank you very much. I got a bit of edge. But yeah, my edges are quite thin, and that's due to like years of pulling, braiding, weaves. Women, I feel like we don't realize that you do it until it's gone. That's the problem with women. We pull onto the hair a lot, and then when it goes, it's like, oh my gosh, my edges are gone. So I've dealt with quite a lot of women. There is a trick, ladies, anyone that's listening, there is like a little black lipstick you can get with a little brush and just like edge it in, and you just won't know the difference. Yeah, I'll share that trick today.
There you go. If you didn't get anything else from this program, you got that tip.
So we got disappearing edges. Now we got disappearing edges.
Listen, oh my by any means necessary, it's got to be done.
Yeah,
and it's funny that you should say that. You know, She Barber, because we've had a few guests on before, and they always talk about where the style that suits you best. You know, and that's kind of ringing true now with a lot of the guests that we've had on there. They say about, you know, you've got to choose the style that suits you and suits your face. You know, so
that's
not
very
like
true.
what you said, not everyone can wear short hair.
Yeah, I definitely, I couldn't do it. I don't have the technique for it, so I couldn't do it. And I feel like when people come to me with a style, from being a hairdresser before I was a barber, I'm able to look at someone and say, do you know what, I don't think that's going to suit your face shape, and I'd more steer them into something that would suit them. But people, you look at stuff and then you'll be inspired and you think, oh, I want a bob, and actually if your face is quite long, a bob's not really going to suit you. So you do kind of have to go with what suits you in the hair world.
Yeah. We just got a comment there from
obviously
travel. Hold on 1 second. 1 minute. There we got a comment from Travel Guru for Life. Welcome. And thank you for your comment. And the comment is sad to hear European hair is easier. Natural hair is so beautiful, especially 4C hair. I love it. Now, this is something that people always assume. Now, I sit here and mine's very light and mine's blonde. Yes, it is. But in saying that, there is hair that looks like 4C, but it just processed in a different way where we can just throw it. We don't have to blow dry it. We don't have to put it in. So there is hair that looks like us that we're using as weave. So some of the time, and this is I think this is a misconception that a lot of people make. They always assume because the texture looks like it's natural that it is natural.
Yeah,
but
it's not. People were still using the same texture to make their hair longer. Like exactly. Underneath my weave, I've got a good length of hair. My hair is like on my shoulders. I've got a big, massive afro, but maintaining it. And I feel like with natural hair, that's why I say it's harder to maintain. You have to do a curl out. You have to do a twist out. Like if I style my natural hair and then I sweat, I'm finished. I'm a goner for the day. I can't go anywhere because I'll just look crazy. So once again, it depends. I'm not against wearing natural hair. Like I have a daughter, so I encourage that she wears her hair out. I look after her hair. But for me, myself personally, someone that's always on the go, I don't have 3 hours to prep my hair for the morning. Like I just don't have that time. So I don't want anyone to listen and think, oh, you know, she's not for the natural hair. I am for it. I just don't have the time to look after my hair, which is unfortunate.
On a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, on a day-to-day basis. Like I would love to, but I just can't. You got to do a braid out, you got to twist it, you got to condition it, you got to let it dry naturally, because if you blow dry your hair too regular, it's going to dry out. There's so many things that come into it.
Yeah. And I think maybe over processing and doing certain things, that's where we start going down the road of hair loss.
What I have stopped doing is relax my hair. I don't relax my hair anymore, so my hair is actually natural. But even with that being said, you know, you get a lot of breakage. I don't personally wear wigs because I don't really like them. I just wear weaves. But it's crazy.
So do you find obviously sorry, Lo, do you find that She Barber, that being like you're younger kind of hairdresser barber than you know, a lot of that we've had on the show before?
How old do you think I am?
You look very young to me. I wouldn't want to say because I wouldn't want to, but you look quite young to me. If I do you want me to have a guess and see what you think?
Although this isn't about my age, go on, have a guess.
No, but I would say that you're in your 30s.
I am in my 30s,
early 30s.
Yeah, I'm 35. 35.
Okay. So that's yeah. So I would call you younger as I'm only comparing you with some of the guests that we've had on, which have been in the industry for like 20 years and things like that. So that's the only comparison I'm making. You know, and so it's interesting that you talk about like timing and styles and how because I think it is a younger generation thing that they you know, you are very dynamic in the way that the techniques that you use, and the results that you get.
Yeah,
you know, like doing as you said, you don't have the 3 hours to spend.
I really don't. Like I can see there's a comment here about natural hair once again. What, I can't really hear what it says. Hold on. Oh, my phone is overheating. Can you see me okay?
Yep, we've got you.
I think my phone's gonna overheat. Yeah. What was I saying? Sorry. What does this comment say?
It says, I've got locks, but yes, natural hair, that's sweet. Out of not nice is when you have certain style to begin with. I love natural hair. That's from Josephine Dennis.
Yeah, so she's saying about how it's sweating out. So I think we got She Barber is just frozen there for a second. So we'll give it a minute and we'll just have a quick chat before we bring all our guests back. That was quite interesting as well to see a different point of view.
Yeah, definitely, because I know not from personal experience, Lolly, but from like I said to you, having daughters and that, and being around women all my life, I know that sometimes a hairdresser could be an all-day thing. You know, you go to the hairdressers and you're gone for the whole day.
And we're just doing a steam.
Maybe that's where you say you're going to the hairdressers.
Well,
You go shopping or
you never
something.
know. You never know. She's
Sorry,
back.
guys, my phone got really hot.
That's all right. Thank you.
Doing it again. Oh my gosh, it's doing it again.
All right.
Mhm.
Don't worry. We're gonna have our
okay.
rest of our guests come back very shortly. So Shibaba, don't go anywhere. We will bring you back
I'm
on.
here.
All right, we'll bring you back on in just a minute. So Nick, well,
Yes,
should we read some
yes,
of
love.
these comments? What do you reckon?
Yes, indeed.
Let's have a little
Got
natter.
this one. Yes, got this one. It says, locks are not easy. My regrowth now is epic. That's
Do
from
you think-
Deborah. Thanks for sharing, Deborah.
Yeah, Deborah's always here with us. So we like and do remember, guys, to like, share, and also subscribe so you know every time we're on. Vanessa, good evening. She says my natural hair does not take 3 hours, only 10 minutes, and I have 4B hair. I spray water and apply oils and pick it with my afro comb. That's it. Very easy peasy. So I see this is the difference.
Okay.
Go ahead.
What's like? Do
So
you know
we've
the
got-
difference
we're
between
gonna,
four?
what we're gonna have to do, it's the curl patterns. It's the different curl patterns.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
We'll
okay.
probably have to touch on that one day, and see. So people will understand who are not too familiar with the different grades. It has been a bit controversial. Some people like to use it, others don't. But it's just one of those things.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. So, like I said, do subscribe and also get the notifications. Press that button so as you know we're always watching. Also, you can watch us back channel 7 on Sky, and yeah, I guess we're going to bring our guest back. What do you reckon?
Yes, got a couple of questions actually that I just want to put out to them. So
Yeah. All right. So, can we have our guest come back in? Welcome back, Ratty. Welcome back, BB.
Hello.
And I'm sure Shibaba will join us shortly. So, guys.
Okay, so I've got a question. I don't know, Baby D, maybe you'll be able to answer this. It says for edges, it says now that we are styling and patterning our edges, they say that the best thing to do is moisturize your edges with first, and then use an oil to seal it in. Is that the best technique? That's coming from Sonia.
For some people, but not all the time. Like moisturizing your edges can hold your edges, because some people want that edge held. You know, when you're having your hair and then you want to lay down the edge, you're not going to put oil on your edges, are you? You're going to use an edge controller. But it actually depends on people's hair, what type of hair they have, and how the edges holds. So I don't know.
So
Really
so you wouldn't recommend like moisturizing and sealing it in with oil like she said.
No, you can. Do you know what it is? You can moisturize and put. I usually with my edges, I don't moisturize my edges. If I'm moisturizing my edges, I'm washing my hair afterwards. I'm moisturizing my whole hair. But if I'm trying to set into a style, then I'm going to use the edge controller, and then I'll leave the middle bit moisturized. So because I know that obviously if I'm going to go out my house, I'm going to be walking around. The edge is going to start moving, right? Your hair moves, right? When you're out there and doing a couple of things. So you're going to want to use an edge controller where it actually controls your edges. Do you get what I'm trying to say? I'm not going to have moisturizer. When I'm out there, like right now it's hot. I'm going to have oil on my hair. It's going to be like, you're going to see it dripping, right? You know, when you're sweating and you're running around, you're going to have all the sweats coming down. So I actually keep my edges slicked with a gel or like an edge control. And the top bit, I keep it, moisturized. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Miss Kazmak said it's all about relearning and learning how to manage our own hair type. Thanks, Miss Kazmak.
I think we've touched on quite a lot about obviously hair loss, edges, and hairline, and that. And I'd just like to put to the panel. I mean, we've talked about, Ratty spoke about, encouraging his clients to maybe go for the chop. We got a curl chop. We do have.
I think
one.
you want to rephrase that, Lolly. Go for the chop. I think you want to rephrase that. That's not good in a man's world.
So so we've had Ratty had talk about that. We've had Dika talk about wearing hair extensions to cover up. I just would like to know if any of the panel actually go that step deeper and actually encourage or talk about nutrition, or to tell like their clients to seek medical help or something like that. Is that something that you offer? Talk about vitamins and because it's not always something that you can do in the salon. So do you have those kind of discussions, or do you just provide a service?
Yeah, of course, it's something that you have to do. Like, you have to, obviously, every service that you give, you need to consult them. You
Mhm,
can't just give a service without consulting them.
mhm,
So you have to let them know. If someone will come up to you and be like, how do I maintain my hair? You have to let them know this is what you have to do. What's the point of being a hairdresser? The
mhm,
whole point is you're meant to help their hair grow
mhm,
and be more healthier. So you have to tell them, you know what, you have to wash your hair this many times, you have to condition it, you have to less stress, try not to stress yourself,
mhm,
and don't wash your hair as much because we know the water in this country is full of chemicals. So
mhm,
you always have to consult them, even if they're going to the barber shop. Like the barber said before, the hairline. You have
mhm,
to really tell your barber, do not cut my hairline all the way back, you know, because once you start doing that, your hairline starts to go back and back and back.
mhm,
So all of that is just about what you have to consult them, because not everyone wants to be wearing weave all the time.
mhm,
Sometimes I want to wear my natural hair. So how am I going to wear my natural hair if it's not growing, if I'm constantly putting in weave?
mhm,
So I have to let you know this is what you have to do: moisturize, condition your hair, set your hair, or treat your hair. So it's something that you have to do at all times.
mhm. But what I meant is like like encourage them to take vitamins, natural products,
Of course,
things like that. Like something like food, their diet. Encourage
yeah,
them,
yeah,
that those kind of things, not just
yeah,
the service.
yeah,
We
yeah.
would have to tell somebody how to maintain their hair if they needed that consultation. But I mean, in terms of we can only go so far as hairdressers.
Mhm, mhm.
Some things are a problem within, as we said, hair loss, genetics, stress, environment, nutrition, diet. There's so many of the other things. What I was asking is if you guys like remind people that those are factors. It's not always a cover situation, or
Yeah.
just like you can't just solve it just like that. Ratty, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I definitely you have to do that. For me, I tend to keep more to the natural products, and whatever is good for me is good for my clients. So
Mhm,
that is what I recommend. A brand that I use for my hair and my beard is Essential Roots Limited.
mhm,
So after you recommend product, you also have to ensure that you inform your
mhm,
clients and teach them how to properly clean their scalp, and massaging their scalp as well to stimulate the blood flow for regrowth as well, and just understanding how to use product as well, not overusing, blocking your pores and all of that. So
mhm,
you do your consultation as she said just now, and every client you try to understand them on a personal level, so you know that okay, this client health is good but they're not resting enough, so this could be a form of stress that is affecting the ear, or they're experiencing trauma and all of that. So it's specific for every client. So
mhm.
there's not that one thing that you can tell every client that they need to
Yeah.
do for a better ear quality, and as you said, the vitamins and minerals and all of that that you need.
Mhm,
So you discuss all of that, and and you explain to them the best you can, and you make sure you tailor the information precisely for them. So
mhm.
it's needed.
Thank you,
Okay.
Ratty.
So I got thanks for joining us back again, She Barber. Yeah, you sorted out your
Right, sorry, my
overheating
phone just
phone there.
overheated.
Oh, okay.
I need
Let
a
me
new
ask you a quick
phone.
question. Let me ask you a quick question. This is from Fiona. It says, can layering your edges, can that cause build-up of flakes and breakage as a side effect?
No.
Is that a personal question for me or in general?
No, she's just
In
asking
general.
in general. I've just put it to you.
See, I
With the
feel
lay,
like
it says
once
when
again,
you're laying your edges, can it cause
yeah.
it can cause build-up of flakes and breakages as a side effect?
Of course, depending on the products that you use. I mean, certain gels, I use a lot of edge control, but
Hmm.
with edge control, it doesn't hold. So it depends on what you're going for. Are you going for a good hold? Do you just want it to look slick for the time being? It kind of all depends on the product and your hair texture.
Okay. Okay.
That would be
Just
my answer to that question.
okay. Thank you very much. Perfectionista says Essential Roots products is amazing and vegan. I buy that one. Anyone heard of that Essential Roots products?
I feel like I have.
I've not.
I
Mm.
feel
Yeah,
like I've
that's my
heard of
product.
it.
That's the one I
That's
use.
your
You know.
product.
Yeah, so it's
Yes.
you get your hair care, your skin care, and for your beard as well. So
Okay. So that's the one I've got to look out for then, Ratty. Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
All
You
right.
don't look
Contact
like
me
you need it, though.
later.
I need all the help I could get.
Not with your gene line.
Well, not with the growth, but maybe just with the like the texture, you know.
It's all about this, like you said, like consulting them. Stress, like we said, people go through things. The
Yeah.
stress, like you said, like the weather. There's just a lot of things that's going on in people's life, and all you can do is tell people, because we're not doctors, but at the
Yeah.
same time, you can just tell them to reduce the stress, reduce this, reduce that. Don't, sometimes you have to let your hair breathe for you to get the result that you want. So it's just like all about, you have to listen to the person first. When you meet a client, then you have to talk to them and know what they're going through for you to give someone advice. You can't give someone advice if you don't know what's going on with them, you
Mhm.
know? And that's what I believe it is. If a client comes up to be like, I've been so stressed, I'm losing my hair, what are you going to say? Obviously, you're going to be like, reduce the stress, try to do this, try and do that. You know what I mean? So, what else can we do?
Thank you very much, Dika.
Yeah.
Wow, it's been that show. Thank you to all of our guests, Ratty, She Barber, and also House of BBD for this evening. The time has gone so quick, Nick. It's time
Yes,
to
it
wrap up.
has. Okay. Thank you very much, guys and girls, for joining us.
Thank you
It's
very
been
much.
very enlightening.
Thank you for having
It's,
me.
And if you guys,
Thank
if
you.
you don't mind, if you'd like to hang around in maybe some of the chat rooms, just in case anyone has any kind of questions, or you can share your details with some of our audience, please feel free to do that. All right. Thanks for joining us once again. Hopefully, we'll have
Thank
you
you.
guys back again.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank
Oh
you.
yeah, I'm up
Cheers.
for it. Thank you. Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you, guys. Thank you. So, Nick,
Yes, Lolly.
you're going to be putting
There
on a
we
hat
have it.
anytime
Who
soon.
knew? What's that? What's that
You'll
again?
be putting on a hat anytime soon.
Do I need it, Lolly?
Nah.
Oh. Well then, no. I do you know what? I do have one of those hats. You remember the hats with the dreadlocks, but it's only for fancy dress. Do you remember that the red, gold, and green hat with
Yeah.
the dreadlocks?
Yeah.
I bought one of those for a cultural fancy dress party once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you do have some extensions somewhere. See, I knew there was somewhere.
Yeah, well, that was, as I said, that was only a dress up kind of thing there. But it's been good today. It's been very enlightening. I mean, as I said, I've never heard of hat fishing. I mean, edges. I knew about edges because my daughters, they're all about their edges, man.
Yeah. You can
You
actually
know.
get the edges now where they're like transfers. Do you remember the bubble gum bazooka? And you used to get the tattoos.
Yes.
Well, you've got edges like that on a strip now.
Okay.
So apparently
Oh
you
wow.
have so if somebody's got a problem with edges, this is it. They've got a solution for everything now. So you pop the strip
Wow.
around the side of the head, add a bit of water, let it dry,
Mm-hmm.
peel off. Bob's your uncle. You've got some swells. The only thing is they look very shiny though.
Yeah. Good evening, going out to Sonia King. Good evening, going out to Sonia King. She said, I've never heard of hat fishing though. And me neither, Sonia. That's the first time I've heard of it. Lolly was the first person to mention it that I've heard of. Good evening, going out to Keith Henderson. He said, you guys going to be doing anything on skin products?
Yes, we will.
We are, Keith. Yes, we are.
Coming up very soon.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, so we'll have a bit of a panel there.
So
Nick,
I think we're about. Thank you, also. I think we're about out of time, aren't we, Lolly?
We are once again. It goes so quick.
Uh-huh.
So until next
It certainly does.
2 weeks time.
You know, I've got to book more time on a Thursday with you, Lolly. It just seems to be too short. I don't know, maybe another hour.
Nick, you have a lovely weekend.
But
Viewers,
yeah, it's
thank
been
you
great.
for joining us.
And you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much, people. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.
Good night.